What's up, everyone? Paavo here from Pure Heiser Productions, and today we're going to do an Ask Me Anything video. I was originally approached by Matthew Simpson of countrydiscgolf.com. He does an excellent disc golf blog there if you want to go check it out, to answer 5 questions as a part of a series of interviews he's doing with various disc golf media outlets. And after he contacted me, I suggested that maybe we could open up the floor to questions from fans and viewers as well, and turn it into kind of a longer AMA video instead of just text answers to his questions. So I'm going to start with his 5 questions, and then we'll move on to additional questions I got from viewers and fans on Facebook and Reddit. Let's get going. Okay, so the first question from Matthew is, your videos usually have commentary added post-tourney. Would you prefer to have somebody who played near the top card as your guest commentator? And yeah, absolutely. I always try to find one of the players from the round to be my guest. I mean, the reasons for that are not necessarily that just because they're the best players, they're going to be the best commentators. I'm aware that's not going to be the case a lot of the time, but they are always going to be the most knowledgeable about their own game, and in many cases the games of their competitors. And also just they were there, they experienced the round. We can discuss things that may have happened off camera between holes or anything else, and I feel like you could get the best commentator in the world, but if they weren't there, they don't know what happened, little tidbits behind the scenes information. I just think the commentating's a lot more interesting when you can watch someone play and hear them commentate on their own game, talking about the discs they threw, the lines they chose, why they did that, etc., etc. Question number 2. The majority of your videos feature Nico Castro. What is your relationship with Nico? Is it just coincidence that he's in a lot of your films, or due to him having you cover his tournament series? I'd say it started out as coincidence. When I started this PHP project, I didn't know Nico, but I happened to live near him. I mean, it really just comes down to that, and he's one of the best players in the world, and definitely the best player in the area that I live in, so naturally he shows up on the lead card a lot. Last year I covered the Rain or Shine Pro-Am in Auburn, which was my second time filming Nico. I filmed him at the unsanctioned doubles tournament New Year's Disc Exchange a few months before that. But after filming the Rain or Shine tournament that year, which Nico actually won, I approached him after the round and asked him if he wanted to commentate with me, and to my surprise he actually said no one had ever asked him before if he wanted to commentate a disc golf video, which, being one of the best players in the world, that was very surprising to me. And he was very, very excited about the opportunity and liked the idea. And at that time, he still lived here in Grass Valley, but I lived up in Truckee by Lake Tahoe, and Nico drove an hour to come to my house and record the commentary with me for that video, and I think it went very well. And from then on, I've just happened to film him a lot, and I think he enjoys being in PHP videos, both as a player and a guest commentator. He's always told me he has a lot of fun doing it. I get a lot of positive feedback from my viewers on any video where Nico is my guest, so I try to have him back as often as possible. And as far as his Fly Life Winter Series here, he didn't ask me to cover it. It was kind of my idea to cover these 5 tournaments that he's doing in the Winter Series. He is one of the best players in the area. My videos are bound to get more views when Nico's in them, and he's an entertaining player to watch, and he's an entertaining commentator to listen to. So I think it's just worked out to be a mutually beneficial relationship for both of us. All right, question number 3 from Matthew. What course that you have filmed would you consider the most scenic? Which one is your favorite to film at? I've filmed at a lot of places. I'd say Zephyr Cove is probably the most scenic. That was round 2 of King of the Lake last year, if anyone wants to go check that out. PHP 11B, I believe. What was the other part of that question? Which is your favorite to film at? I mean, I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite course to film at. I certainly enjoy filming more scenic courses and more technical courses over the open courses, which at least that part of it, I think both players and videographers might disagree with me on that, but I've always been a fan of technical disc golf. The players versus Mother Nature instead of the players versus a nicely groomed grassy fairway on a golf course. It's just far more interesting to me to both play and film and commentate. Number 4. What got you started filming disc golf tournaments? Do you ever play the courses that you film? Yes, I play all the courses I film. I've been a player for quite a bit longer than I've been a videographer. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten into this if I wasn't a player to begin with, but after playing disc golf for a while myself and watching a lot of the other videos on YouTube, I decided I wanted to get into that aspect of it myself because I've been a video editor already for a long time, and I just, watching all the other videos, I had a lot of ideas for things I thought I could bring to the table that some of the other channels might not have been doing. And I had already for a long time been making my own videos of various types, not professional stuff, just casual stuff on my own personal YouTube channel. My friends and I having a casual round of disc golf against each other, and we would film each other, and I would upload that. No commentary or anything fancy like PHP, and before that, mountain bike videos, unicycle videos, you name it. So it's making videos has been a hobby of mine for a long time anyway. And once I became a, let's say, adequate disc golfer, I figured out that it might be a good opportunity for me to branch out into disc golf videography, and not just me and my friends filming each other in casual rounds, but actually covering tournaments, the professionals playing at tournaments like I do now for PHP. Number 5. Of all the big disc golf tournaments that take place each year, which 3 would you want to film, and which 3 would you want to play in, and why? As far as the ones I'd want to play, I think it comes down much more to the courses for me than whether it's a tier, B tier, C tier, NT, whatever event. That's less of a factor for me. I really just enjoy playing technical courses. I enjoy elevation change. I enjoy basically any course that will push my limits as a player to throw strange types of shots, either off the tee or if you can get in trouble on some of the fairways, strange types of shots that you almost never have to throw, that really force you to utilize every corner of your game. And which tournament it is actually matters a lot less to me. I would just rather play tournaments on courses that I enjoy, which again is going to be courses that have more tight lines, more trees, and especially elevation change. I love not just big downhill bombers like everybody else does, but uphill, downhill, side hill, any courses where you have to play the terrain intelligently to prevent rollaways or whatever. That's what's most interesting to me. And as far as which ones I'd want to film of big tournaments, again, same answer. I mean, I'm more open to filming tournaments at courses I'd be less interested in playing myself, but I would still rather film at somewhere like Masters Cup or Ledgestone or Worlds. I mean, they have it at a different place every year, but the last few years at least, it's been mostly technical courses, which I really enjoy. So same answer, basically. All right, and that wraps it up for the 5 questions from Matthew for his blog. Thanks again, Matthew, for reaching out to me and being interested in doing this interview in the first place. And now we'll move on to some questions from viewers that I got on Facebook and Reddit. Number 1, what are your tips for being a good commentator? What do you look for in a guest commentator? Well, the guest commentator question was already covered above. I mean, I prefer having someone who was in the video themselves, just because they know the round, they know their own game, and often they know their competitors' games as well. And my tips for being a good commentator, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm the greatest commentator. I mean, I think, for example, Jamie Thomas from Spin TV does a great job. I know this channel gets less views, but Carl Cubbage on Disc Golf Monthly, I've always thought that he was a great commentator. There's a lot of preference for what type of commentary certain people enjoy and others might not. I try to take the approach of just being informative and letting people know what's going on in the round, constantly keeping in mind that while I may know the course and all the players and I know what's happening, a lot of stuff might not be obvious to someone who's never seen the course before, which obviously getting views from everywhere, the majority of people who watch these videos, I'm guessing, have not seen or experienced these courses in reality. So I just keep that in the front of my mind the whole time. What do I need to explain to make sure that everybody can follow what's happening here when a disc goes out of frame or when it rolls down a hill or when a player is taking a certain shot that seems like it might not be a good choice when you can't see what's off camera, but he did it because of this obstacle or this danger over here. etc. I mean, I've always taken the approach that I just kind of try to inform people of what's going on, and I let my guests kind of do more of the color commentary, which I think works well for the most part, since my guests typically know their own game way better than I would, and also know the games and the discs of their competitors, so they kind of have that style of commentary, and I'm just reminding everyone what's going on with each shot and what's going on with the competition and what position changes are happening and so on. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm a great commentator, but I like to think I've improved since I started this endeavor with PHP a year and a half ago or so. But yeah, I try my best. Number 2, how long does it take you to produce each video? And what is the number one thing you want in order to create better content? I'm glad whoever asked this because there are a lot of channels out there that'll just get the footage together and get it uploaded the next day, and my hat's off to all of those channels for being able to do that so quickly. But I can't do that the way that I do my production side of things, and a lot of times people expect coverage of tournaments that I film to be up within a day or two, and it simply can't be the way that I do it. So I'll try to break it down here. How long does each video take to produce? Well, I mean, filming the round first, driving to the round and filming for 4 hours or whatever it is, and driving back home. And then I typically spend two to 3 days on the initial editing process, just getting all the footage together and cutting out all the stuff that doesn't matter and cleaning it up and adding the transitions and adding all the whole previews and all that. Got to create all the graphics for the scorecards and people changing positions and stuff. Creating all the graphics for the videos probably takes me 2 to 3 hours for one video, and then probably an additional 1 to 2 hours to get them all positioned correctly throughout the video, having all the player shot pop-ups come up where they need to, and the whole information and the player intros and the scoreboards. The scoreboards take the longest to create in the first place, but they're pretty quick to throw in since there's only 18 of them. And then, of course, after all that, then I got to find a guest, and they got to come over. I got to set up to record the commentary and the live action intros and outros that you see right here in the same set. And then I import all that footage, and I got to start picking B-roll for the intro and outro. That's the shots you see of the course, and in the outro you might see some flashbacks to good shots of the round while myself and my guest are discussing them. So that process, including setup and recording and taking it down and then editing the intro and outro and the commentary, that's probably another full day. So all in all, if I break it down, I would estimate 40 to 50 hours of work per episode. So if I don't have much other work at the time, I can maybe get an episode out in a week, but more commonly it takes 2 weeks to get it all done. And the second part of that question was, what is the number one thing you want in order to create better content? I mean, I can list some equipment and stuff. One thing I want is a better second camera. That would be great to have a second camera as good and clear as this primary camera that I use that shoots in super high quality, 1080p, 60 frames a second. You know, it would be nice to have the second camera look that good as well. Besides that, I would like headsets for commentating. Right now I just use a microphone set up between the two commentators, which means when we accidentally talk over each other, there's not really much that can be done. But if we had good headsets, then I could mute one of them when I'm editing the commentary, in the event that two people are talking over each other inadvertently and one of them is saying something a lot more important than the other. I could mute one of them, so that would be nice. But really, the number one thing I want in order to create better content is time. I feel like I could do a lot more if I was able to pursue this full time, and right now I'm not. So beyond any types of equipment upgrades I would want, my answer is definitely just time. And the next question is, what equipment are you using to shoot and edit your videos? What upgrades would you like for the future? That's a very similar question to the previous one, but I didn't go into specifics about my equipment in the previous one. I have a Canon XA20 camera with a nice external microphone with a wind filter on it. I always record with a monopod with a tilt head on top, so I can tilt the camera down and up while still, not tilting the entire monopod. That was something I had to learn the hard way the first time I used a monopod, and the camera was, stuck to the top of it in the same position, and I couldn't tilt it up and down. It made it very difficult to film drives in particular. And for the commentary, I just use an old vocal microphone I have from music days to record the audio for the commentary. And the second camera that Jen uses is just some old prosumer level camera. It's a Panasonic something or other, but it's not fancy enough that you want to know what it is anyway. Next question. From a camera eye view, what aspects of course design and layout contribute to the best play and in turn video footage? Well, again, the best is a subjective thing, but as I've covered earlier, my personal preference for playing, for filming, for commentating, for everything is technical stuff, so that's what I prefer. And as far as what contributes to the best play, I mean, that's not really up to the course, that's more up to the players, but obviously I enjoy it a lot more when I get to film a round that has some close competition at the top that keeps things exciting. Whether the course is interesting or not, it's always more fun to watch a round where there's a few holes left and you still don't know who's going to win, versus a round where some guy's starting the final round already with a 5 or 6 stroke lead and he just has to play conservatively to hold on to it. That's just less interesting. But that's more about just the coincidence of how everyone plays that day than what type of course it is. Next question. Kind of different, but I love the understated guitar music you use for your videos. What is it? Keep up the great work. Thank you. And the guitar and drum music I use is actually just myself on drums and my good friend Jake Peters on guitar. None of it is written beforehand. We just enjoy, we both play disc golf together a lot as well, and we enjoy playing music, so he'll come over and hang out sometimes, and I'll play the drums and he'll play the guitar, and I'll just plug them both in. I have V drums, and he has an electric guitar, so they can both just be plugged directly into the computer. And we just kind of have jam sessions and record for several hours at a time. We play some stuff that's a lot more metal sounding, which obviously I don't use in the PHP videos. But a lot of what we play is just this mellow. He plays acoustic and I'll just play some mellow beats on the drums. And afterwards, I don't do any editing to make it better, to take out mistakes. I mean, those of you who are musical in my audience have probably heard some mistakes on both the drums and the guitar in a few places here and there. Just gives it kind of more of an organic feel, but all I do is go through the hours of stuff that we've recorded in our jam sessions and cut out little 2-3 minute segments where we're making the least amount of mistakes and fade them in and out and use those for PHP. Why isn't there more coverage of women? Lack of event participation or lack of interest in viewers wanting to see them. You have covered some of the Poppy Series events and I love your videos. So how do we get to see more chicks? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I have covered 2 women's events. In 2013, I covered Mama Bears, just a little C-tier women's only event in Truckee. And last year, I traveled to Watsonville to cover the final round and the final 9 at Daisy Chains. And the simple, and I'm sad to say this, but the simple answer for why I don't do it more at this point is just lack of views. And, I'm trying to find a way to get more sponsors doing what I do here, getting more people interested in advertising spots in the videos. And if you go to my channel's video page and you sort by popularity, you'll see that even the 2 Daisy Chains videos are very, very near the bottom of the list. I'm really not sure why they didn't get as many views. I mean, Mama Bears was just a C tier in Truckee, but Daisy Chains was an A tier, a big tournament. Paige Pierce was there, Valerie Jenkins was there. I mean, pretty much the top women were there, with the exception of Katrina Allen. And that was back in the spring of last year when Paige was number 1 by far. I believe Katrina has passed her up in ratings now by a little bit. But I was filming the best female player in the world, and those videos still got far less views than even random C tiers where I filmed the men's pro open lead card, which, I mean, that was disappointing to me. I really thought those videos would be more popular. I think my sponsors thought those videos would be more popular. You'll see if you look back at those that MVP paid for a full commercial spot in both of them. They have a full 30-second commercial in both Daisy Chains videos, and just logistically, I can't help but think about that they might have regretted that decision afterwards, because those videos simply didn't get as much attention as I was expecting, or as anyone was expecting, I think. So really it comes down to my viewers. I mean, the stuff that I film is going to be the stuff that I think is going to get the most views, because I still do this mostly on my own time, and I'm really trying to build it up to be something that I can spend more time on. And to accomplish that, I need to film tournaments that are going to get a lot of views, that are going to generate sponsorship interest for my videos. And I would love it if Daisy Chains was more successful, and I think if those videos had gotten more views and I was more happy with their success and my sponsors were more happy with their success, I'd be much more inclined to film more women's tournaments. That being said, I'm still going to cover more women's tournaments, I'm sure. I'm not against the idea. But really, in my experience, that's what it comes down to. I was very surprised to go film women's only A-tier event with the top women in the world and have it get as little attention as it did. So I hate to say it, but that's the answer. Do you find that filming and post-production work for your videos gets in the way of you personally competing in tournaments and or casual rounds? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I played, I think, more than 10 or 12 events in 2013 before I started Pure Heiser Productions. And last year, I think I played 4 or 5. I mean, my PDGA membership barely paid for itself, if at all. You know, you get that $10 discount. So you got to play more than 5 tournaments a year for it to pay off. And it's tough juggling the two things, because I do love making the videos, but right now I still do it mostly on my own free time. So of course that cuts into my time that if I wasn't doing this, when I finished my normal work, I could have gone out to the course to practice, and there's a lot of weekends where I would like to be playing a tournament, but instead I'm filming it, or I'm filming a different one, so I can't play the one that I want to play, and that definitely comes into play a lot. And it is something I struggle with, but I don't want to give up on PHP, and I want to keep working at it, so I sacrifice my own game a little bit in the process. It is what it is. What felony secret do you hold over your girlfriend to get her to run the second camera? Well, I mean, Jen is also into disc golf. She plays tournaments herself, and we play casual rounds together all the time, and I think we both enjoy going to tournaments as players and also as videographers. I think it's a fun project for us to do together, and I'm grateful that she enjoys doing it with me, and I think she's been doing a great job. What's the story behind your first name? As you probably know, it's a common Finnish name. Yes, I knew that. The story behind my first name is a bit strange. I was born here in California. My mother's Danish. My dad was born in Minnesota, but his ancestry is Norwegian, so my last name is Norwegian, by the way. But I don't have any Finnish blood whatsoever, even though I have Danish and Norwegian blood. My parents were a little older when I was born. I already had many older siblings when I was born. My older sister was 16 or 15 at the time that I was born, I think. And the story I've heard from my parents is that they were going through different possibilities for names for me. And my sister had heard of or liked the Finnish name Paavo, and she suggested it to them, and they went with it. And that's that. What's in Nico's bag this year? You know, I'm really not sure what's in his bag this year. I know he changes out his discs a lot. I know that he's just signed a mixed bag sponsorship agreement with Daredevil, so he's been throwing some Daredevil discs in addition to a lot of his other discs. Particularly, I know he likes the mid-range, the Grizzly, made by Daredevil, a lot. But as far as what else has changed since his In the Bag video last year, I really couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I would love to do another In the Bag video with him in the future. Is Nico upset that the silhouette at the end of your videos is James Proctor and not him? Well, no, I don't think Nico is upset about that. But that gives me an opportunity to give a little background on how that became the logo. The very first thing I ever filmed for Pure Heiser Productions was the final round of King of the Lake in 2014. And I was playing the tournament that year as well myself. It was my first year competing, I think. Maybe I did a few tournaments in 2013, but basically my first year competing, I was playing intermediate, and there were tee times for that last round. So I didn't actually finish my round until the open lead card was already on hole 7. And when I showed up, Garrett Tapkin from Central Coast Disc Golf was already filming, and I talked to him, and after the round we ended up exchanging footage. But anyway, long story short, the first 6 holes of footage in the first PHP video ever weren't even filmed by me. They were filmed by Garrett. So you don't see any footage filmed by me until hole 7. So anyway, after the round was over, and I was putting the footage together and trying to come up with a logo idea, I thought of the idea of turning some of the footage into a silhouette of one of the players throwing. And I actually went through all the footage of that entire round of golf, everybody's drives anyway, and looked at every shot with this silhouette concept idea in mind, and ended up choosing James Proctor's drive on hole 7 for this silhouette logo idea. And coincidentally, James Proctor's drive on hole 7 there was the first shot that I ever filmed for Pure Heiser Productions, since I didn't film holes 1 through 6 myself, and James happened to have the tee when I started filming on hole 7. So that's kind of a cool backstory, that the PHP logo is actually based on the first shot I ever recorded for Pure Heiser Productions. And that was not the plan, now it's a coincidence. And I think just something about James Proctor's form worked nicely for the name Pure Heiser Productions. Because even if he's throwing a Heiser flip or something else, his form, if you can't see the disc, which you can't in the logo, it kind of just looks like he's throwing a Heiser, so it worked nicely for the concept. What's in your bag? Well, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one here because that would take forever, but I'll run through it really quick. I throw all Innova, just because when I learned how to play disc golf, it's kind of all that was available in my area. Nothing against any other brands out there, but it's what I happen to learn with, so I do carry all Innova. And I'll just start from the putters and work my way up real quick if you want a quick rundown. Maybe someday I'll do my own in the bag video, but I don't think there's much interest for that, so it'll probably just be left to this. I like putting with a DX Rhino, which is really unusual. I just like the grip of the DX plastic. I like putting with an overstable putter. I feel more confident in really committing to putts and knowing that it's not going to go too far past the basket. I have a Champion Rhino that I like to throw for upshots and putter drives. I have a Star AVR that I don't ever putt with, but I'll use it for Anheuser upshots or shorter Anheuser drives, or even straight drives where I don't want the fade that my Rhino has. Mid-ranges, I carry a Champion Super Stingray for my flippy shots. I have 2 Champion Rock 3s. One of them's new, one of them's beat, to serve those 2 ends of the spectrum. And then I have 2 Champion Gators. One of them is Metal Flake, and again, one of them's beat, one of them's newer, to have the super meat hooky shots or only the slightly meat hooky shots. And my fairway drivers are T-Birds. I carry 2 T-Birds and a TL. Again, a newer T-Bird, a beat T-Bird, and a TL to cover the spectrum of stability for that range. I've got 3 Firebirds as well, same idea. Metal Flake Firebird, meat hook, 170 Champ Firebird, middle of the road, and a beat-in Star Firebird that really bridges the gap nicely between my T-Birds and my overstable Firebirds. After that, I have 2 Mambas, Champion Mambas, that I like to use for rollers or maybe uphill turnover shots at high elevation. But at most courses, they're just my roller disc. Once again, max weight, newer one that tends to go straight for longer, and a beat-in one that turns over sooner and hooks hard right for those types of shots. And then quickly moving on to my distance drivers, I carry a Star Wraith and a Champion Turn. And then I have 2 destroyers. One of them's a max weight Star Destroyer, pretty overstable, at least for my arm speed. And then a 170 G-Star Destroyer, which is a nice kind of S-curve flight for me when I throw it correctly. And then the fastest discs I carry is I have 2 Daedalus, I don't know. Once again, a max weight Champion and a slightly lighter G-Star version for those flippier shots. And that's it. That's what I've got in my bag. What is your favorite Heiser disc? I'm not really sure what Heiser disc means. I mean, is that an overstable disc? I love Firebirds, but sometimes I'll throw just moderately stable discs for a Heiser. It really depends on the shot, so I can't really say what my favorite Heiser disc is, but I just ran through my bag, so any of those you want. What are your go-to discs, and how long have you been playing disc golf? Well, I mean, you just heard me run through my bag, so my go-to discs I would definitely say are T-Birds and Firebirds. Those are probably what I throw more than anything else. I throw my Rocks a lot. I throw my Gators a lot as well, actually. So let's just go with Rocks, Gators, T-Birds, and Firebirds. I mean, it's a pretty typical answer. Not very exciting, I know, but that's it. And how long have you been playing disc golf? Well, that's going to be a two-part answer because I was introduced to the game of disc golf probably about 12 years ago, and I didn't really care for it at the time. I mean, I was 18. I was an adrenaline junkie. I liked downhill mountain biking and snowboarding and things like that, and disc golf was just too mellow for me at the time. So for about 9 or 10 years, I would play 2, 3, 4 casual rounds a year, starting off with just one borrowed disc from my friend, moving my way up to a little bag where I had, maybe a driver and 2 mids and a couple putters or something. But, at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. It was just frolf. It was an excuse to get outside and hang out with my buddies, and I didn't really care about the game for a long time. And in 2013 is really when I just decided to try to get into the sport more and try to learn proper form and learn the X step and start watching tutorials and started watching tournament coverage and started playing in tournaments myself. So really, I think the most accurate answer is to say that I've been playing since 2013 because before that, it was really just casual rounds of frolf a couple times a year. And in 2013, it became disc golf for me, and I started caring about improving and caring about trying to do well and get my rating up and join the PDGA and all that. Do you have something against Anheisers? Nope, but the name Pure Heiser Productions just sounds a little better than Pure Anheuser Productions. I just wanted to work some word in there that was unique to disc golf, and PHP has a nice ring to it. Pure Heiser, it sounds nice. It sounds memorable. I don't know. Not much to say about that. And last but not least, I saved the most exciting question for last. What do you typically get on a cheeseburger? Well, I don't actually eat burgers very often, but when I do, I like them spicy. So I like garlic, I like jalapenos, I like hot sauce. Or I could go Hawaiian style and get a fried egg and pineapple and onion on it. I don't know, either of those two things, but again, I don't eat burgers very often. And that's it for my AMA. Thanks again to Matthew Simpson of Country Disc Golf for wanting to do this interview in the first place, and also thanks to Matthew for being okay with my idea to turn it into an AMA and taking questions from fans as well. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks.